There is a world just beyond the one you know. A place where truth and legend blur, where forgotten stories breathe in the shadows and impossible things are whispered when no one is listening. Some say these tales are fiction, others have lived them. Every corner of this earth holds secrets, buried beneath cities, etched in ancient walls, floating between radio signals and hidden in plain sight. Tonight, we open the door, we step beyond the veil. Welcome to Whispers Beyond. Have you ever heard of an empire so vast, so powerful, that it stretched across half the world? And yet, it was erased from history. An empire that shows up on old maps, but nowhere in our textbooks. Some call it a myth, others a global conspiracy. Tonight, by the fire, let's uncover the mystery of Tartaria, the empire history forgot. In 17th to 19th century maps, a massive land appears labeled Tartaria, a region that covers modern-day Russia, Mongolia, parts of China, Central Asia, and even stretches into parts of Europe. These maps were not drawn by amateurs. They were created by respected European cartographers. So, what was Tartaria? According to mainstream historians, Tartary was just a vague term, used by Europeans to describe the vast, unfamiliar territories of Asia, a safety 1919 too, by design mainstream respected, especially those inhabited by nomads like the Mongols. But some researchers believe it was more than that. They suggest that Tartaria was a forgotten super-civilization, a unified empire with advanced architecture, technology, and knowledge. They claim that its memory was deliberately erased from history. How could something so big simply vanish? Was Tartaria just a geographical label? Or did we lose something much more profound? Interestingly, some old world atlases describe Great Tartary as Krural, one of the largest countries on Earth. Yet by the 20th century, the term had all but disappeared. There are no school lessons, no monuments, no official records, just silence. And for conspiracy theorists, silence is always suspicious. Some say the silence isn't just a historical gap. It's a cover-up. A deliberate erasure of an empire that once rivaled Rome and perhaps surpassed it, not just in territory but in technology. There are whispers of free energy devices, of wireless power, and cities powered by atmospheric electricity. Look closely at old photos from the 1800s. You'll find impossibly large buildings. Grand domes, massive pillars, intricate stonework, all supposedly built with primitive tools and horse carts. But who built them? And why do so many of these structures share the same architectural features, even when they're oceans apart? Some researchers claim that these were not built by colonial powers but inherited from the Tartarians. Then came the mud. The mud flood theory suggests a worldwide cataclysm buried these ancient cities, not thousands of years ago, but just a few hundred. And after the disaster, new regimes rose, rewriting history, brick by brick. Mainstream historians scoff. They say the timelines are clear, the photos misinterpreted, the buildings explainable. But for those who have seen too much, there are too many coincidences, and too many questions no one wants answered. If Tartaria truly existed, where are its records, its language, its people? That's the thing. Maybe they never disappeared. Maybe they were renamed. Some believe the descendants of Tartarians were absorbed, rebranded as other cultures, or worse, labeled barbarians, savages, nomads, a clever way to erase dignity without erasing bodies. Even the architecture raises questions. Why do we find Greco-Roman style buildings, massive columns, giant domes in places where no such influence was supposed to exist? Government buildings, post offices, train stations, all sharing the same eerie grandeur, often far beyond what the local population could have built or afforded at the time. In the US, they call it the federal style. In Russia, it's imperial neoclassical. In India, it's Indo-Saracenic. Different names, same look, same signature. It's as if someone wanted to normalize these ancient structures, to pass them off as their own. But sometimes they forget to explain the foundations. Why do so many of these buildings sit several feet below street level? Why do so many basements look like buried floors? Enter the mud flood again, a theory most laughed at until they saw the photos, and the buildings, and the silence. So if Tartaria was real, why erase it? Why bury its legacy under mud, maps, and misdirection? Some say the answer is simple: control. To control the present, you must control the past. If people knew a unified, peaceful, and advanced global culture once existed, powered not by war, but by knowledge and free energy, what would they begin to question? Their governments, their religions, their entire worldview? Now consider this. Why do we rebuild in styles we cannot replicate? Why do we demolish structures built to last for centuries and replace them with boxes that crumble in decades? Some say we're not building forward, we're erasing backward. And the more we dig, literally and figuratively, the more buried truths we find. Photos, symbols, blueprints, inconsistencies. The pieces are there, but the puzzle, still forbidden. You can dismiss it as myth, or start looking closer. Tartaria may not just be a lost empire, it may be proof that we're not being told the full story of humanity. In the last decade, the name Tartaria has quietly re-entered the public conversation. Not through textbooks, but through TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube. A new generation is digging, not with shovels, but with questions. They're examining old blueprints, strange architectural similarities, and forgotten patents from the 1800s, some that hint at wireless power, or buildings designed to harvest atmospheric energy. They point to star forts, massive geometric fortresses found on nearly every continent. Too precise, too consistent, and often misattributed or misunderstood. Who built them? Why the same shapes, the same layout, worldwide? And then there's the strange case of the world fairs. From the late 1800s to early 1900s, cities like Chicago, Paris, and San Francisco suddenly unveiled enormous, ornate complexes, built in record time with supposed temporary materials, and then demolished within months. Some say these weren't exhibitions, they were remnants, rebranded, displayed, then erased. Even stranger, many of these fairgrounds had underground levels, and entrances later sealed off. Coincidence? Or a cover-up of something far older than we're told? The internet has made it impossible to bury these questions forever. They keep surfacing, one photo, one map, one whisper at a time. Mainstream experts call it all nonsense. But if history is written by the victors, what happens when the forgotten start speaking again? Maybe Tartaria isn't just a place we lost. Maybe it's a mirror, reflecting how little we truly know about our past. If Tartaria did exist, then we didn't just lose a country. We lost a way of thinking. A worldview where architecture wasn't just shelter, it was energy, resonance, and harmony. All around the world, there are buildings we no longer understand,
cathedrals that hum at specific frequencies, towers aligned perfectly with stars, domes and spires shaped not for beauty, but for function. Some researchers believe these structures were part of an ancient technology, a global network of resonance, magnetism, and natural power. Not fossil fuels, not wires, just knowledge of how to work with the Earth. That knowledge is gone now, but is it really forgotten, or has it simply been hidden? We see glimpses of it in the underground cities of Turkey, in the star forts of Europe and Asia, in the ruins of buildings that should never have been possible with horse and cart technology. And yet, we're told they were built by hand, in weeks, by farmers. We're told to stop asking questions. But what if the real story is stranger than fiction? What if we were never meant to forget Tartaria, but someone made sure we did? In the silence left behind, a new generation is listening. Not to official narratives, but to symbols, frequencies, alignments, and whispers. They're not just looking back, they're looking beneath. Because if Tartaria is real, then history isn't just incomplete. It's designed to be incomplete. And maybe, just maybe, Tartaria isn't only a ghost of the past, but a blueprint for what humanity once was, and what it could be again.
What you've heard tonight may never appear in history books, but stories have a way of surviving, passed in whispers, carved in symbols, buried beneath layers of silence. Was it myth, or something more, waiting to be remembered? Here at Whispers Beyond, we don't claim to hold the truth. We only ask the questions most are too afraid to ask. If this story stirred something in you, if it made you wonder what else lies just outside the edge of reason, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone curious. Because the unknown is always closer than it seems. And we'll be here, listening to the next whisper beyond.